All right, guys, today we're going to talk about 5 practical tips that you can use to avoid a messy divorce. If you're watching this video on YouTube, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when we're pushing out more family law content to educate you on family law. Tip number 1, shrink your circle. What does that mean? It means that a lot of times people who are going through a divorce, they have a tendency to talk to a lot of people about their divorce. And while the people they're talking to may be very well-meaning, what ends up happening is they get a lot of different voices telling them what to do. But what ends up happening is all these different voices become confusing, and you can reach the point of not exactly knowing what to do or what direction to go. Maybe this way, maybe that way. It becomes very confusing when you're listening to too many people. So shrink your circle. I would also recommend really being very careful about what you're posting on social media. All of those things are discoverable. Your spouse may have friends that are friends of yours that may be turning over what you're posting on your social media. Be very careful about what you're posting. Make sure you are scrutinizing it within the context of what could come back to bite you in litigation. Tip number 2, be honest with yourself. One of the first questions I ask people when they come in for a consultation for a divorce is, do you really want to get divorced? I'm usually looking for a wedding ring to see if they're still wearing their wedding ring. You would be shocked how many people come in for a divorce consultation when I ask that question who say, no, I don't really want to get divorced. And that's okay. I respect the honesty, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Part of that is trying to figure out what we can do for you, and we can't do that if you don't know what you want. If you're trying to get back together with your spouse, but you're just trying to gather information, or you're trying to negotiate a settlement that's going to leave open a possibility of reconciliation, let's be honest about that. The other thing I want you to be aware of in the context of a marital separation is that your timeline may be different than your spouse's. You may have decided the marriage was over a long time ago, and your spouse is just not where you are with their emotional timeline. They may be lagging behind. Or it could be the other way around. Your spouse may be way ahead of you with the timeline that goes with grieving the divorce of a marriage. They may already be done, and you may not be there, and that's okay. But what you need to do is be honest with yourself and ask for help if you need it. We can give you the right professionals. We just need to know how you're feeling. Tip number 3, keep the kids out of it. This may seem like a no-brainer, but even if you're trying, kids can pick up on the stress of what's going on between mom and dad. Be really careful about the conversations that you're having with your kids or even around your kids. Be very conscious that kids can pick up on your emotion. They can feed off of it, both the good energy and the bad. You should also be aware, if you're involved in a high conflict divorce, that there is a lot of research and literature out there that talks about the developing brain of a child. Kids that are growing up in high conflict households can actually have brains that develop as though there's been literal physical trauma where parts of their brain are not physically formed the way that they should, which can have impacts later on in life. It's not just speculation anymore. The science is out there. Be very careful about what you're exposing your kids to in the divorce. Tip number 4, know where you want to be. I mentioned before how it can be confusing because you don't know where to go. I always look at divorce as an opportunity to remake yourself. It shouldn't be a burden, but you get to reimagine yourself. You get to find a new house, a new place to live, a new neighborhood, maybe even a new job. Some people choose to relocate outside the state of Maryland after they're done. That's okay, but we need to have a plan. Oftentimes, clients say, well, how can I get there? And we say, well, where are you trying to get? We can tell you what you're entitled to, give you options, but if you don't know where you're trying to get, whether it's a new job or a different place to live, we can't get you there. So it's really important that you're honest with yourself about figuring out what it is you're looking for, where you want to be. I often talk about 3 years, 5 years, 7 years after the divorce. Those are kind of natural timelines in a progression of figuring out who and where you want to be after the divorce. Again, it's not a burden, it's an opportunity. Tip number 5, it may seem really basic, but it has to be said. You have to prepare to litigate, but be willing to mediate. So what exactly does that mean from the lawyer's perspective? We get a lot of people who come in and they say, well, I know that most divorce cases settle and I want to settle my case. We want to settle every case. But I have to tell you, settlement is not possible in every case. You have to be prepared to take your case all the way to litigation to get the best deal possible. The cases that are the best prepared are the ones that settle. Clients that don't work with us along the way, that don't live up to their obligation of doing what we've asked them to do, that get behind with certain tasks that we've given them, the homework that comes from the lawyer-client relationship. Those are the cases where they think it's going to settle no matter what. And unfortunately, what happens is the settlements end up not being as good. You have to be prepared to go to court and ready to win in order to get the best settlement possible. As always, I'm going to throw a link to our book in below, The Ultimate Guide to Divorce in Maryland. It's down in the comments section. Make sure, again, like the video, hit the subscribe button to the channel, hit the notification bell, get a copy of the book by clicking the link down below.